Welcome to the Biz Life Podcast. We're broadcasting live from UNR Extension Studios in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're with the Small Business Education Program, and we're here in collaboration with the Latin Chamber of Commerce. Today I'm joined with my co-host, Reina Mendez. We're both instructors here at the Small Business Education Program. And with the Vice President of the Latin Chamber of Commerce, Carlos Gomez.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
And today we're going to be talking about something really important to us.
Yes.
I know taxes is important to everybody, but today we're going to be talking about branding and marketing, right, Reina?
Yes, we're going to talk about how to build your brand, about strategies, what to do, what not to do, and tips and tricks.
Tips and tricks. That's all good. So what is a brand? What makes a brand?
I think a brand is your message. It is very related to your message. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, your brand is kind of everything about what you have and what you're trying to say.
Yes.
Your messaging is right there with it.
Yes, it's about your message, your voice, how you want to talk to the audience. It's also about the colors of your brand, the logos.
Yes.
And everything that is pretty much involved with your business, the marketing of your business, right?
And how important is a brand, right?
Yeah, no, and the most important thing, you have a business like a mechanic, a janitorial company, a construction company, how you can make the difference, how the people will know you are that brand and that they will follow. It's very important.
Exactly.
Yes, like how you're going to create a difference, how you're going to differentiate from your competition, for example.
Right.
So it's basically a really unique point of view of your business. Am I right?
Yeah, and a brand actually comes from, if you think about it, back in the cowboy days, when they're riding across the plains and they have all these cows they're herding. A brand was an iron they'd heat up in the fire, and they'd have their logo on it essentially, and they would burn it into the skin of the animal to say, Joe's brand of cows is better because he feeds them better and treats them better, gives them massages on the weekends, whatever. And his cows are happier, so he gets a better premium in the marketplace than somebody who mistreats their cows or whatever. And so it's a way to differentiate, which differentiate just means better. It's different but better.
Yes, totally. I mean, if you don't differentiate from the competition, how you're going to bring a new message or how you're going to do things differently. It's like pretty much very important for your business nowadays.
Yep.
I think, everybody should be doing that.
And if you have a good brand, you can charge more for the brand.
Of course.
You put the Nike symbol on a T-shirt, and that T-shirt just went from $3 to $33.
Correct.
Just like that.
True.
Okay? That's the power of a brand. Now, a brand has a promise along with it that you have to have some backup to it, right? So what makes a brand important? What pieces does a brand have to it?
Well, I think logo is very important, the logo. A lot of people, I think, have a hard time designing the logo, and they don't contemplate certain stuff, like certain aspects. Like when they create a logo, you have to make sure that it's a very easy to remember. And sometimes, let's go back to history with the first logo of Apple. You remember that logo? Not a whole lot of people remember that logo.
Yeah, it's a picture of Newton sitting under a tree.
Exactly.
It's very complex.
It was so complex. It was so difficult, and it was just you couldn't see it. You couldn't see the details just by looking at the first time. You have to look at it very, very 3 or 4 times in order to okay, what's this logo is about, and then they rebranded, right? A year later, they rebranded with the logo that we already know. That is very simple, and it is still the same idea of the Newton's apple and all that stuff, but it's only the apple.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm talking about. That's very important because visually, people is going to remember your logo.
Absolutely. And And most logos, even for older companies, get refreshed from time to time
Yes.
to keep up with the times. The Apple logo at one point had rainbow colors in it, which took on a different meaning at some point. And originally, those were the first original colors in computing that they could make their monitors. We used to, if you guys are old enough to remember, I am, but
Before Windows.
when,
we are talking,
when they were
before
DOS
Windows,
and everything
Yeah.
was green, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, we have 8 colors, and then we have
Right.
16 colors. How amazing is that?
Yes. But like you said, it has to be easy to rebrand later on, but not to change the whole concept, because the concept is something that you have to build at the very beginning and just keep that message through the years. You can rebrand, but not change the whole thing. I mean,
you have to take a part of it is, and I'm a logo designer too. Part of it as a graphic designer is your challenge is to keep the history of the brand, but just refresh it. So one of the logos I really like is the John Deere logo. And it's gone through probably 8 or 9 revisions over the years, but it still is kind of the same looking logo. But that John Deere green color is so unique. That's what they do. And a lot of times it's the color, it's what it represents, it's the feelings behind it, it's how it all works. If you look at banks, one of the colors that banks typically use is blue.
Blue, yeah.
And why do they use blue? It's trust, right?
Trust.
One bank, can you think of a bank that does not have a blue logo? There's a very prominent national bank that does not have a blue logo. It's red and yellow. Wells Fargo.
Fargo.
Right?
That was it. W.
Why is theirs different? Because they believed a little bit different philosophy about banking, and they
Right.
wanted to stand out from that.
And also their history. They come in
Absolutely.
when they were banking in the old
West.
The old
Yep.
West. So
Yes.
that's why they keep that branding, because they
Exactly.
come from there.
or for example, like luxury brands, they always use black
Yeah.
as the common denominator. You're going to see black, Gucci, Valentino, Coach, all of them are black because it's related to luxury.
Exactly.
So it's the choosing the color, the right color of your logo is very important
It's
at the
very
very beginning, like depending on your industry.
And Reina, I had my business, so I want to start my business. How I can match my philosophy, the quality of my work, how I can match with my logo, my branding. How I know how to work. I know how quality work. I know what I do, but how I can get the idea to brand my service or my work.
Well, I'll suggest to hire someone to do it if you're not really sure how to develop that. I mean, a good graphic designer is gonna give you ideas. You can talk to this person and tell them, this is my mission, this is my philosophy, this is what I wanted to project. And then this person can kind of like create a logo for you. It is difficult for you. If you're not a graphic designer, it is difficult for you to do it. So I'll suggest to go to an expert that help you to create that, because you're also going to need like different logos, like different sizes, transparency, so you can use it across different materials. For
RGB,
example, like,
CMYK, grayscale. When we design logos, we start out in black and white.
Yes.
Because if it doesn't look good in black and white, it's not going to look good in color.
right.
Just saying.
And sometimes we are very like festive, we want to put sort of colorful and all that stuff, and we're not really thinking how much money is going to cost me to brand it. Because you see, if you need to do t-shirts and stuff like that, you have to pay for embroidery. It's going to be more costly. The more the colors that your logo
Absolutely.
has, it's going to be more costly for you to create t-shirts and like merchandising and stuff like that. So that's why it's initially you have to
You have
take
to.
in consideration those things.
Yes.
You want to avoid things like gradients. You want to avoid photos. Like I've seen some people that have their logo as a photo, and it's just a nightmare to reproduce because it's not going to look good on a shirt
Yes.
in 2 colors. So most logos, like I'm looking at Reina's headphones right now. There's a logo on the side of it, right? That's a 1-color logo. It's got to look good, and it's in silver right there.
Exactly.
But you can put that in blue and green and whatever color, or on a shirt in white. If the shirt's dark, you can do it that way. So you have to look at, it's going to be silk screened onto things.
Yes.
It's going to be embroidered onto things. Chances are it's going to be very small. And when you shrink things down small, it still has to be readable and legible from across the room.
The font is very important. Don't make intricate letters.
Okay, yes.
Sometimes people says like, oh, okay, scripts or, like that manuscript letter. It's going to look
Exactly.
good. I mean, you like that, but maybe your readers are not going to like that. So you have to kind of think about your audience too.
Oh, and also you're mindful that it's going to across several platforms. Also, it goes to a website, letterheads, business card, and social media. So it has to be something that's manageable and,
Yes.
and simple. Because simple message, boom.
Is good.
Yes.
And in this day and age too, where we use a lot of social media, I would recommend that your logo be at least kind of square-ish or circular in a way that can fit in your, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or anything like that. You usually have a round area to work with. Make sure your logo can fit in there. So if you have a logo that's super wide, probably not the best fit. You may want to consider something stacked.
Right.
You can do stuff with.
And that's why you have to also consider like many different dimensions. The horizontal, vertical, like different ways to do it. And a graphic designer is going to provide you with different options of your logo and sizes and all that stuff. Just don't create just one logo for everything, because like Mike said, it's not going to fit in some social media channels have their own dimensions and it's going to look weird. So,
And it's a true statement. When we, the Latin Chamber of Commerce, started it 46 years ago, our logo was large.
Yes.
And then a marketing company came to us and said, no, it's all style. So we rounded out. So we had our logo. We had different sizes, but now it's rounded.
Yeah.
And that is really easy to use on social media, website, anything we want.
right.
And your logo, I was looking at it the other day. It looks like a building.
Yes.
It looks like a building. It's the LCC, and they're run around, and it's like, it's, to me, I was looking at it the other day, and I went, I haven't really looked at it. I've seen it, but I haven't like stared and looked at it. But I was looking at it the other day, and I said, this reminds me of kind of like, it's like a gathering place almost, right?
Yes.
And I think that was probably the intention for the designer.
Intention, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and so it looks like a building, a place where you go and you gather, and it's this thing, and it also represents the letters LCC for Latin Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
And if I can mention the name, that was Virgin Advertising and still
Virgin.
in business, and they did it for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a great example of how a logo should be. It has a meaning behind it. The people can actually say, "Oh, that's a nice story." That's a nice story to tell about my logo, and this is my mission, and this is my my goals and all that, and you can put that in a logo.
And the
represents
logo's
that.
green, right?
Yes, green.
The logo's green. Do you remember why you went with green?
No, to be honest, not. I don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. I mean,
probably because of money. I'm not sure. That's the first thing that came to my mind.
Prosperity.
Yes.
Prosperity.
Okay, prosperity.
prosperity.
Hey, you see, I'm a good marketer. It's about prosperity.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Yeah. When I go in to pitch a logo to somebody, I hopefully have talked to them and I've extracted all the information from them that I need.
Exactly.
But when I go to sell the logo to them, part of it is the psychology of color. Part of it is the psychology of how things fit.
Yes.
And it would be explaining that whole thing to say, hey, this is how it works, right? And we're going to use green in here because green means this. Green can mean a lot of things. It can mean growth. It can mean new. It can mean fresh.
Nature.
It can mean nature.
Organic.
It can tie in organic.
Organic.
Yeah. And it's that's kind of how you explain it and how you sell it. And then the tie into the history of the brand and kind of refreshing it that way. It has to have significance.
Yes.
A logo's great, but if it doesn't mean anything, You know, like the Nike logo. Originally the Nike logo was designed by a graphic design student.
Yes, student. Yes, I remember.
$35 they paid
They
her.
pay for it.
Yes, but remember the
$35.
$35 back then was like $200 from today,
Still.
which is not bad.
Still.
Yeah, that's still.
Now, supposedly Nike went back later on and recompensated the artist
Yes.
for her work. But even the word Nike, it's like the goddess of victory.
Mm-hmm.
It's this whole thing, and the swoosh is like the wings of victory and that type of thing. And it's interesting that that's what Nike has on their branding. You know.
Yes. Like, by the way, it's black because it's clothing, because it's luxury.
It can go anywhere.
Yes,
it can go black. It can go white.
Yeah, like I would say black is very for the clothing and all that stuff. But
Actually, their corporate colors, it's like an orangish red, but it's white
that's
on
true.
the top.
Mm-hmm.
That was their original.
Yes,
their
that's
boxes were almost orange looking.
Yes.
They weren't quite red. They weren't quite orange. It was somewhere in between
Yes.
with that color on there.
But the importance of the color,
Very
I mean,
important.
it's very, very important.
Make sure it
think
means
about that.
something. Make sure it means something when you're doing that. But yeah. And then where do you use your brand? You use it on everything that you touch.
Mm-hmm.
You should feel comfortable to use it absolutely everywhere that you have it.
Exactly.
No, and also need to be something people can remember, because I saw the other day a company, and the name is so long and the logo is like I was thinking, I understand. And one thing, especially for first generation to this country, is that very simple. You need to be very simple, something that catches the attention and attract it. Not very complicated items all together or melting things. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
And it's sometimes I think we as business owners, we make the mistake of being too personal. Like we want something for us, and that's okay. But we have to think about a target audience too. Like if this is gonna like my target audience, they're going to relate to whatever I'm trying to say. Because sometimes I think we're very individualist. Like, oh, this is my business and I want it this way, but we don't really contemplate our audience, and that's a very important thing to do.
Absolutely. And keep in mind, you're going to use this all over the place. Sometimes branding takes in sounds. Sometimes it takes in visuals. One of the sound things, I used to work with Intel Corporation, and they had for Pentium, they had a thing and it would go dun, 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 dun.
Yes.
Just that tune. And when we I used to tell people when I lived in Europe, I'd say I work for Intel Semiconductor, and they go, who? And I go, Pentium. And they go, oh, Pentium. And then sometimes people would say back to me, dun, 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 dun. And I go, no way. Like
Or-
they know 4 notes. Dun, 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 dun. That's something that's part of their intellectual property.
Did you guys remember the internet connection?
Oh, yeah.
yes. With the
Oh,
modem,
or remember
that
like,
was- yes, yes.
you got a mail.
You got mail. Yeah.
The
exactly.
AOL thingy.
AOL
yes,
voice.
yes.
The AOL voice.
It's very well. Look at branding. We have Alexa and we have Siri, right?
Yes.
But they're 2 very distinct voices, and when you hear either of them, you know.
Exactly.
You know?
When you go to the supermarket and you pay with your debit or credit card, it's going to give you a sound when the credit card or debit card is approved, and then you know that it's approved. You know,
Okay.
and sometimes you don't really really think about it. It's something that it becomes like really familiar. That sometimes you don't really give it too much thought, but there's a lot of sounds out there that we kind of already connect to a particular brand or a particular service.
Well, and we have to keep in mind too. This happens a lot at the university. We'll create a program, right? So if you have a name for something, and you make a logo for it, suddenly you have the formations of a brand, right? So if you've named it, and you've done something to set it apart from something else, and you've put it into some kind of physical form, you're now starting to create a brand. And so whether you like it or not, almost every single thing we do, we create a brand for. You know, and it's what does that brand represent? What's the message that you're getting out to your market via some medium that you have, the 3 M's, your message, your market, your medium. All that has to do with your brand and pulling it together. And we have brands that are fashion brands, right? That, because cologne or perfume costs thousands of dollars per ounce, if you think about it, right? You can buy the same kind of knockoff smell at Walmart for $7 a bottle, but it costs $400 a bottle when you buy it, at Macy's or somewhere else. What makes somebody interested to buy that? Is that fragrance that much better as far as the ingredients, the quality? No, it's the branding, it's the packaging, it's everything about it. If you go to buy a designer handbag, a purse, they just don't throw it in a plastic bag and say, take that home. It's in a nice box. There's stuff packaging in there. Oh, there's some special, there's a special like cleaning wipe that comes inside that's branded again for that. One of the things that I thought was interesting, Apple used to do this with their computers. They were the first company that actually put pictures on the outside of the boxes. They did full color boxes with an actual picture of the product. Nobody else did this at this point. These were just, when you bought a computer, you get a plain brown cardboard box and it would be inside. Apple's products were always in these things, so you could tell instantly that somebody bought an Apple product. And I remember when this happened, a laptop at one point, the Apple, when you opened up the laptop, when you looked at it, the Apple was looking at me. When I opened it up, it was upside down, right? And then at some point, that switched. Now, if you look at your laptop, it's upside down when you look at it. When you open it up, other people see that brand that's on there, right? Yeah. So part of it is saying, hey, I have this brand and it's worth it, and I spent a lot of money on this, and there you go. And so logos get bigger.
And packaging is a very good way to show a lot of what your brand is about. And we don't realize, but it's really powerful. Like, for example, Zappos, when they chip something on the carton boxes, they put like their core values. For example, they have like 5 or 6 core values, and all the boxes have at least one core value. When you receive the box, you read basically their branding, and you get in contact with the value or the statement that the goal, the mission that they have. So packaging is very powerful.
Very powerful.
Let me give you a side effect when women or wife buy a luxury purse. The secondary effect is your wallet start vibrating like crazy.
Yes. Could you imagine to put like a boss button there? Totally.
Yeah, and that's the power of a brand. There's a brand out right now that a lot of the young people wear, and it's called Supreme. Just the fact you put Supreme on something increases the price like exponentially on everything. It could be a T-shirt. Now this T-shirt's $80 because you have the Supreme logo on it. So a lot of times it's, especially fashion's one of these areas where sometimes the perceived value is so much higher than the actual value, and that's what makes fashion fashionable.
I think it's about a sense of status too.
Exclusivity.
Status. Like feel that you're having something unique somehow, and or that you are being part of something unique.
Yes.
Also, for example, like in social media, a lot of people think that the social media is about your brand, but it is not really about your brand. It's about people using your brand.
Correct.
And exactly. And sometimes we use our social media channels to promote our brand, but we're not using photos or testimonials of our customers using our brand. And I think that's
a great thing. Yes, absolutely. So it's much better to have pictures of people using your products and services,
exactly,
than for you to say, "Hey, we're great, and here's our products and services."
And then sometimes, and another thing that I see a lot is people try to compete with prices and discounts, like luxury brands. Don't do that. They'll never gonna have discounts.
Nope.
And that's why they keep their value, because they never make the feeling that you can afford it.
Exactly.
And that's the main idea, that not everybody can afford this. So how they're gonna discount something that then they're gonna make it like accessible to everybody, which is not the point, right? So sometimes I see that people tries to build the brand based on price instead of adding value to the price that they already have.
For instance, the brand on the cars, Lamborghini, it's well known, exotic car, it's very expensive, and their philosophy is no TV ads.
Yes.
And when they ask us why, if the people is watching TV, is not our customer.
No.
Our customer never watch TV. They buy our product.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yes, and that's a good way to start to build your brand. I mean, if you really want to compete with extra value or adding value to it, you can sell, I don't know, a particular product plus something else. Instead of putting in discount, offer an added product.
Added value.
Exactly. For example, let's say that you're going to sell, I don't know, give me an example. A pizza, okay? And maybe your pizza costs $7. But if you want to increase the value of the pizza, you can offer a set of ingredients, for example. Like, if you buy this pizza, you're going to get these ingredients to make your own pizza. Or you're going to get a video of how to prepare pizza.
Yes.
Like something like that. You have to add something. Instead of putting that pizza in the range of $5, just put it in the $8 range, but give an extra. So I think that's the way that we have to start to think about building our brands.
Yeah, and also this the branding also people entrepreneurs need to keep in mind that their area of influence. So if the area influence is local, is 3 miles around, they need to focus on that and promote their brand in that area.
Yes.
Because if they are selling, a restaurant has a good tacos, let's say, it's very difficult someone from Summerlin come down to Henderson and only just to buy those tacos. The only way is there are exceptional. There's something like that. So branding goes along with quality, influence area, and those things, because we need to start little by little. And I like you mentioned, Reina, that those influencers, the YouTube influencers, that help you to grow your business. But you need to have the branding. They promote, and that's what you got the business and the business from the rest of the community.
Yes.
Well, and if you think about typically a brand, it's a promise of an expected level of service, an expected level of quality, a predictable level of whatever, okay? For instance, McDonald's has a brand. We've all eaten at McDonald's. We all know what it tastes like. I've eaten at McDonald's in every country I've ever set foot in, right? And you can buy a Big Mac, fries, and a Coca-Cola in every country. And they taste pretty much the same. There's some little nuances. I can get a McMollete in Mexico, right? And I can get a cheeseburger royale in France, and whatever. But there's always going to be little details. But for the most part, McDonald's brand, I think most people would say they're not the best hamburger in the world, right? Some people may argue with that, but you can't argue with the fact that they can produce a similar product across 85 different countries in a very similar fashion. That's hard to do. That's part of their brand is doing that. It's how it looks, how it feels. As a teenager, I remember Target and Walmart literally competed head to head.
Yes.
When you walked into Target, it was red, but it looked kind of just like Walmart. Walmart was blue, Target was red. Right. Kmart kind of had a falling out. Yes. And if you think Kmart was big when I was a kid, and then Walmart came out, and it was almost like there was Kmart's brand were cheap for poor people. That was literally, if you were shopping at Kmart with your parents, you're like, oh, I don't want to be here today, right? It was the cheap discount store to go to. When Walmart came out, there was no stigma around that. Walmart, everybody shopped at Walmart. It's just low prices across the board. Target was competing with them head to head, but over the next few years, Target did something very different. Target started aiming their brand higher.
Yes.
They started bringing in designers to design stuff. They started bringing in, name brand people on clothing and things like that. Walmart doesn't do that. Walmart does it a little bit now, but 25 years ago, Walmart didn't do that. No. And suddenly their stores changed. And then they really targeted kind of the suburban housewives and in upper middle class areas, and all of a sudden it was like, hey, I'm shopping at. It became Target, not Target, right? People used to say that from time to time. So nobody has any problem. If you ask anybody right now, what's a higher end retail store, discount retail store? Is it Walmart or Target? 99% of people would say Target.
Yes, I
right.
agree.
And there's nothing wrong with Walmart. It's just that their brands had to separate because Target had to compete. They couldn't compete with Walmart directly. Walmart's too big. They do what they do really well. Yeah. Target had to aim higher and change their brand. And sometimes you have to do that if you're a brand and you're in a market where your competitors maybe have deeper pockets than you do. That's really hard to go head. You don't want to go head to head with somebody. You want to be different, differentiation, like you said.
Yes, and taking again the example of McDonald's. Let's talk about In-N-Out.
Yes.
Like In-N-Out is a competition for McDonald's, but In-N-Out has differentiated themselves. Like they say, okay, my fries are fresh, right?
Yes.
And they only have 3 things in the menu.
That's it. There's no chicken sandwich.
Yeah, they don't have.
Can I get a fish sandwich?
Exactly. Like they don't have a big menu, so they don't overcomplicate people. So they go fast, So it's like one, 2, or 3. That's it.
And let's say that before In-N-Out, it was Burger King, Jack in the Box, all those competitions. But they come with this idea, this branding, and boom, it's a huge hit.
It's been growing. It's been growing immensely.
And they all do well in their respective areas, even though they all sell burgers.
Because they differentiate themselves. They offer different things. Like if you go to McDonald's, it's usually because you're in a rush, or you're in the freeway. I mean, or you're traveling somewhere.
I want some chicken nuggets.
Exactly. You want something very specific. But people that like In-N-Out, they like the fries are fresh and they don't overcomplicate anything. Like, do you want 1, 2, or 3? That's it. They don't have much.
Well, like I think all the burger places now sell a burger that is like unto the Big Mac. It's got the special sauce. It's whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
They call it a California, whatever. Whatever that is. I don't ever order that at any restaurant because if I want a Big Mac, where do I go? I go to McDonald's.
Exactly.
Because they do it the best.
And I think a lot of about branding is also innovation. Like let's see now the drive-thrus from McDonald's. They're nothing like a few years ago when you get stuck in the drive-thru. Now they have like 2 lanes.
There's 2 windows. There's 2 lanes. They're
2
innovative.
lanes, and it's faster, and it's getting faster to go through it.
They have robot drink machines that pour your drinks.
And they put systems in place. For example, at Chick-fil-A. Have you been in Chick-fil-A?
Yeah.
How fast you go to? I mean, it's a big line, but you go so fast.
It's because they employ 40 youth that are running alongside your car,
but
taking your order.
But it is a way to improve your your operations in order to keep innovating and you see the big line in Chick-fil-A, you don't get discouraged. You say, I know that I'm going to go through.
Same with In-N-Out Burger. There's a giant line at In-N-Out Burger, and people still wait.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because a brand, if you want a brand, people demand.
Exactly.
A brand demands higher prices in your marketplace.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah, but as well, the brand, when you buy from them, you expect the quality.
Absolutely.
All the time and the same quality.
It's predictable.
Exactly.
So that's just for our entrepreneurs. So they need to know that they need to be constant. They need to have the quality, and they need to be there all time.
Yep.
Not Monday and Fridays. Not,
Exactly.
because it's all time. 24/7, 365.
Exactly. And then there's the importance of also like build a message, if your message is going to be about quality, your message is going to be about pricing, your message is going to be about luxury, like what your message is going to be. And then you have to keep it consistent. It's not like you're going to be enforcing quality today and tomorrow,
Exactly.
I don't feel like it. It's something that you have to do every day.
I had a great story. I remember I was with A Corporation Casino in Las Vegas, and we tried to bring some products from out of state, out of the country. I don't mention country. And in regards quality and brands, and this entrepreneur say, my brand is well known in my country and other countries. I export to Europe and everything is plain. So the buyer from this corporation said, look, I need a shrimp. And every single package need to be a shrimp for this size. And inside this box, I need 20 bucks. Inside this big box, I need a pallet with another 20 bucks. So meaning everything need to be precise, the same quality. Mm-hmm. In this case, because of your name and your brand, I expect quality. Mm-hmm. But when they start dealing, because I live that, and they start dealing, 3 months later, they opened the packages and there were different sizes of the shrimps. So when they had a meeting again, they come in, the buyer said, look, when we send those boxes, we know how many shrimps this particular kitchen need to cook every day and how many plates need to be served. When you bring different sizes, we had a problem in our chain, and then we had headaches and we lost money. So, and they stopped. So that's why I say quality, consistency, be really constant, and perform your brand. And once you get there, boom, it's forever.
Yes, that's true.
And it's not always, especially as an entrepreneur, you don't always have to be the high-end brand. You also don't have to be the low-end brand either. I used to be in the printing business, and when I'd get business cards printed for people, depending on how discriminating the client was, how fast they needed the job, how much they were willing to pay, what quality they were looking for. I had really high-priced, high-quality printers, but I also had low-down, dirty, as cheap as possible. So sometimes they'd say, I just need it cheap. And I had other ones that were kind of in the middle of the road, and it was like, depending on what they needed, what quality, if they didn't care about the paper, they didn't care about the ink quality or the whatever, we just knock out some quick cards for them and on the cheaper end of things. But more discriminating clients definitely paid more for their products. And you could see a huge difference between the three of them. So as small business owners, you have to decide what you want to be when you grow up, essentially.
Yes. I agree with that.
So what's our takeaways from today? What's our homework for today?
Well, the homework for today is think about your message and think about your logo. Don't make it complicated. Try to create a story behind your logo.
Yes.
And hire a good graphic designer.
Hire somebody who can help you get your vision
If
going.
you can, I mean, it's not like if you can, you have to, okay? Because this is an important part of your business. You cannot go cheap with this because it's going to be the main way to build your brand. So you have to put enough resources in this.
No, I agree. And just keep in mind, as an entrepreneur, you are busy with overall how the business is run. Employees, payments, payroll, funding, projects keep eyeing it. So you don't have the time for branding, but you had your idea. So that's why professionals, you gave the story of your business, what you want to get out of it, and what is the direction you want to take. So the professionals come and bring the ideas to match your idea. And that's why we need to hire those professionals. And we do, as the chamber, for our mission statement, we hire professionals to give us we tell our story, but there are the professionals to give us the idea what direction we need to go, and also the wording for it. And so we do, and we do business every single day, but and we realize we need professionals, we need help in all areas of our daily business. So that's the message we convey to our members and soon to be members, and say, you need help. And that's why we work with partners in order to bring those expertise to the business owners.
Yes. Something that I would like to add, not just only about the logo, but also the name, the business name. Think about your business name because it's part of your branding too. Okay, so keep that in mind.
And we've gone through this here. with us in our department.
Yeah.
We've had to rebrand a couple of times to
Yes.
get the proper message out there.
Exactly. Yeah.
And also the name need to be recognized in English language. Don't bring Tito's painting because nobody knows what it means Tito's painting. You know.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes it sounds funny. I mean, sometimes sounds funny in a different language, but and sometimes it's gracious, like the way that English speakers say some Spanish words.
Yeah, but but the thing is because it's in English. We live in America, and when you do business, people expect everything in English. I understand. Don't get me wrong. Could be Chinese, could be Korean, could be Mexican, Colombian, Panama. But when you are in business, people look for something they can recognize. If they do in English, that will be easier way versus another language.
Yes, because yes, it's true. I mean, English is universal, and you're going to be able to reach more people through your brand in a language that is universal.
Exactly.
And just,
Now you have a different division, and you will focus on the Asian market. Well, now you brand in that way.
You can brand it that way.
Or you can go
Exactly.
Central and South America. Now that will be Spanish. Yes. So it depends where your audience target.
yes. Yeah, you can create your brand identity can be created in order to your target audience. For example, like you said, if I have customers in Asia, I might want to create a brand image for them that is a little bit different than the identity that I'm going to use for Latin people. So
Exactly.
yes, you can do that too.
Exactly. It reminds me of Kit Kat candy bars. In Japan, they're called Kitukatsu. And it's very similar in Japanese to how you congratulate somebody that graduates from their exams to go to college, right? So Kit Kats have gone phenomenal in Japan because people give them as gifts to students coming out of high school to take their college entrance exams. And so Kit Kats are in about 30 different varieties. You can get roasted corn, you can get like garlic, you can get green tea, all sorts of weird brands, and they have them for they've differentiated them all over the country. But people can send almost like a mailgram to the post office to congratulate a student for taking the exams. But they capture that just because the name brand is similar to how that sounds in Japanese.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. So yeah, if you have something that happens like that that's serendipitous, run with that. It's terrific.
Yes, totally.
Well, thank you, everybody, for being with us here today. Once again, this is the Biz Life Podcast. We're broadcasting here from UNR Extension Studios in lovely Las Vegas, Nevada. Thank you, Carlos, for being here with the Latin Chamber. Great collaborator. Thank you, Rainer, for being here with us again today.
Thanks for inviting me.
And then let's go out there and do some good business.
Yes.
Thank you.